And we are live. Welcome, folks, to today's live stream, which will be rather short compared to what they usually are. It will be just my segment for the Expert Council Q&A. If you're finding this video after the live stream's done, if it's all been done for at least an hour, down there in the video notes, you'll see a link. If you click that link, you'll find the entire episode. Today was a Expert Council Q&A show of the Survival Podcast. We have a lot of really great stuff. Dr. Ron Paul and his crew are on. Nick Ferguson talking about goat terrorism. Yeah, it's a thing. It's not what it sounds like, though, but it's a good thing. Tim Toolman Cook. We've got some stuff on grinders from Patrick Rorman, some stuff from Doc Bones. So it's worth checking out. Anyway, my segment today is, as you saw, Galt's Gulch. A new Galt's Gulch is hiding in plain sight. So what do I mean by that? And for those of you that aren't big on the whole Bitcoin thing, yes, it does go there, but it doesn't necessarily have to explain it. So I'm going to not beat up the Bitcoin thing with this. I was going to talk about what Galt's Gulch was in the book, what Galt's Gulch became in modern libertarian circles, what a brain drain is, and why Galt's Gulch was not possible until now, and it wasn't possible in either iteration prior to now. And then you decide how you would do it if you want to write Bitcoin out of it. You decide how you're going to program gold to do it for you gold bugs. All right, it's up to you. But the message itself is more about the time, the place, the technology, and enabling us to exist right in front of everybody and still do our own thing in a way that's very difficult to stop. So let's start off with what the original concept of Galt's Gulch was. And it's not what most libertarians think. I find a lot of libertarians that talk about it must not have ever read the book. So the original Galt's Gulch was John Galt and the other, who wasn't really John Galt. Anyway, the industrialists, the people that actually made things, that did things, that enabled society to function, just left. They all just went away. They didn't go to an actual physical gulch. They didn't go to a place and say, hey, we're going to run our own little fiefdom or whatever. They just quit. It was kind of like a highly productive industrial person general strike. We just, you don't like what we're doing, we'll stop doing it. And maybe you'll understand how important we are to society. And this evolved in modern libertarian circles to the idea of, well, what we'll all do is the, kind of Bitcoin Citadel concept or the libertarian utopia compound concept. We'll all get together. We'll form our freedom cells, call them whatever you want. We'll exit and build. We'll go to this place and we'll all live together in our libertarian commune or whatever it is. And we'll all have our own commerce with each other with parallel economies and screw them. And then all of our little communes will all work together, all our little, whatever you want to call them, communities, plant communities. And there's nothing wrong with plant communities or anything like that if you want to do that. But from a standpoint of actually creating a Galt's Gulch type of thing, it's not practical. It's not practical. To understand the real significance of a Galt's Gulch, you have to understand a term that Brian used at least 10 times on Tuesday's podcast, Bitcoin Breakout Edition, he and me and Guy Swan on. And the word was brain drain. And as I re-listened to that episode myself, because it was a very deep, it was an amazing episode. I knew if I got all three of us together, it would be that. And even though I was part of it, I've had to re-listen to it. I missed that, even though I was there when it was being said, right? And when I heard Brian kept saying brain drain, I finally had the click. And I don't know that he's had the click yet. This is a real Galt's Gulch. A Galt's Gulch is the productive members. They refrain from doing business in your world, but then they have to function. We're not all John Galt. We're not all ballers. We don't have billions of dollars. We can't all run off to some island and just not show up for work for 6 months, right? We have to be able to continue to function. And people generally don't move unless there's extreme circumstances causing the movement. I'm about to say something and someone will be like, nah, man, no. You probably live where you most want to live right now. You probably, no, I want to get out of here. But well, why don't you leave? You'll be like, my job. You'll be like, my family. And okay, so because of those things, You have chosen to stay where you are versus to move. If you don't go out your door and there's not somebody sitting there with a machine gun going, you're allowed to function inside your city limits, and if you leave, I'm going to shoot you. As long as you don't have that, you're choosing to be where you are. And so getting people to all move to like some kind of a place is difficult. And when you have extreme circumstances, they will. So extreme circumstances like the crap that we just went through, right? That we just went through with all this COVID's crap, it did cause people to use the freedom of movement within the republic. Illinois, New York, California have had net losses in population. There's actually a congression, like two of the old time, gangster level. I can't remember who they are now, but I think Nadler's one of them. Like congressional clowns on the Democrat side, they now have to fight each other. It's like they've been on the same side of the mafia, and like they got to throw them in a room, let them fight each other now because their districts are getting combined because they lost so many people that under the redistricting process, one of them's got to go. On the other side of it, states like Florida and Texas have had populations grow as people flee that, and let the politics of they're bringing their liberal shit with them, whatever. This is just what happened. But that's a rare thing. That's what it takes. But it is a brain drain. Because generally the people that leave are the people that have the means to leave, and the people that have the means to leave have some level of wealth, and they generally have some level of wealth because they're productive enough to have a level of wealth, and they're smart enough to be productive enough to have a level of wealth. In other words, they're the most intelligent and productive slice of a demographic. That doesn't mean that every one of them is at the top 1%. It just means they're all coming out of like the top 20. If you know anything about Pareto's law, you know how significant that is. And this happens in countries around the world all the time. And it's a big part of why a lot of these shithole tyrannies can never fix. They'll be like, why don't you stay there and work on your own problem? Because it can't be done because the brain drain already happened. So when a country begins to go more and more totalitarian, people that live in that country that are willing to take risk, entrepreneurs are willing to take risk. Now, other types of risk include like getting the hell out. People that are smart enough to figure out how to get out, how to preserve their wealth when they go, and have enough of a productive capability that some other countries like, yeah, we'll take you. They all leave first. That's the brain drain. And then you're left with the lower tier as a full majority. You have idiocracy in a modern sense. And then that's what the rulers are left with. And then even if you get a decent ruler, it's very hard to fix. Now, the problem with this, again, though, is that people are hard to physically get to move. And then let's be honest. Everybody out there that talks shit about doing this, you partake in their system every day to some degree. You go out to a nice restaurant, you just partook in their system. You order something off Amazon, you just partook in their system. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you are. You live in a neighborhood and you have a bank with a mortgage in their system and you paid your mortgage, you partook in their system. You did everything you could to pay as little taxes as possible, but you still paid your taxes because you're not stupid and you don't want to wear silver bracelets and go to jail. You partook in their system. And the reality is the system is so huge right now, to live with any quality of life to some degree, we have to partake in their system to some degree. The question has always been, how much of it do we need and how much of our lives can we move outside of it? That's what parallel economies are all about. So now think about the fact that we now have a programmable form of money. And this is a term that until like the last couple of months, I always loved it. I always knew it was huge, but I could not articulate exactly what it would mean. It was one of those things like, I get it. But so what? If you have programmable money, and we've now built out these layered solutions, we can literally program money to do what we want it to do based on the actions of ourselves and others. This has never been done before. This has never been done before. That is not how the US dollar works. It's not how gold works. None of this, nothing else has ever worked this way. To where I can say, if this thing happens, do this with the money. So if Bill does the thing that Bill said he would do, Bill gets the money and there's no intermediary. There's just a decision that is already predeterminate. And Bill knew that when he went into it. So now Bill takes an action and Bill gets paid, possibly in a very small amount, possibly in a very large amount, possibly in a lot of small amounts over time. So I think we use Fountain as a good explanation because so many of you guys are listening to the podcast on Fountain now, and you know that people on there every day are sending me boostograms or they're streaming value to me. They're listening to my podcast and they're sending me 1 Satoshi an hour or 1 Satoshi a minute. That's a fraction of a penny a minute they're able to transact in. And that sounds like a little thing, but it's not. It's a massive thing. And if you start thinking about all this terminology that's been thrown around in cryptocurrency circles, is basically shitcoin terminology that shouldn't be, like DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. But when I had Guy and Brian on this week and I set up the splits in advance, that was a DAO. We didn't need a shitcoin. We didn't need a token. We didn't need to write a bunch of smart contracts. We had an app that enabled a process to occur. And so this is really easy to see at the content and information level. If you're an infopreneur, you're an entertainer, you're a musician, you're a comedian, you're a podcaster, you're an artist, all of those things, this makes it really like, it's okay, I get that. But what about me? Right? You're the guy that can build a house. Don't think that you're excluded from this. And so what we're actually creating is, they talk about Web3 and the metaverse. This is the metaverse. The metaverse isn't wearing goggles and thinking you're on vacation somewhere and enriching Mark Zuckerberg. That's just playing with technology. A metaverse is us being able to use the infrastructure that we commonly refer to as the internet to exchange value. And it doesn't matter what that value is. Imagine being able to do handyman work for somebody. Like we have questions for Tim Toolman on the show today, and be paid instantly as you complete the work. What if, one of your problems when you're a contractor is materials? What if the materials were paid for as they were used? And we're a ways off from the ship. We're not that far. And what if whenever you were interfered with by the state, you could legitimately say, I don't know, I'm just here doing this thing. Well, how do you get paid? I don't know. It just shows up. I'm not even sure what it's for. Well, who else is involved? I don't know. Why don't you go find them? You can tell me. And you think I'm just kidding here. I'm not. When you start thinking about running a restaurant this way, and people could on the fly decide, yeah, you know what, I could use some extra money today, and look on an app and see, wow, there's a wait at this place. Instead of going out to eat at it, I can go work at it and show up and work. How are you going to handle that? I don't know yet. This is the thing. We don't need an answer to all these questions yet. If something can be programmed, it will be. It's conceivable that certain people would have a pre-qualification, that they have whatever skill set they need and a reputation that says this person's qualified to wait on tables of an establishment at this level and higher, right? Or this person has the credentials necessary to go behind your bar and serve drinks and not get you arrested. That's all you need to know. And that person could literally just go swipe a QR code, walk behind a bar, start working, and swipe out. And what else can you do it with? What else can you do it with? Don't be limited by your current understanding of the world, but understand this. All of this stuff, who's going to do it first? Smart people. It doesn't mean you're dumb if you resist it. It's of the smart people, right? When you start saying, like, if you look at if you literally group people by IQ, a hell of a lot more people are going to come out of like the top 20% than out of the mid-tier of the people that will come. That doesn't mean nobody that's smart will stay behind, but you're going to pull from that demographic first. Risk takers and people willing to do something new and different, and people that have a strong desire to keep what they have, to be able to earn what they deserve and keep what they've earned. That's your first group of people. Now, what is that? That is a brain drain. It's the same effect is when the smartest, most industrious people left Iraq and Iran a long time ago. I'm not putting down anybody that's still there. I don't pretend to know their plight, but I do know the people that got out were people with means, who had the intelligence to gain the means in the first place, who were willing to take the risk, and who were able to look at the writing on the wall and say, if I don't do this now, I'm going to get trapped. And that's happened over and over with international immigration since the dawn of time. You can look at all the propaganda about all they're coming here for is free welfare and all. You're talking about an aberration from the norm because our country's dumb enough that we've created that situation, by the way, on purpose. We've done that. Again, the people in charge of this nation, everything you look at and say, oh, they're so stupid, I can't believe they did that. They're not stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing, and you have to look for why did they want this to happen. They want to lower the standard of living in America and make us equal to the rest of the world because they believe we deserve to suffer, and no matter what happens to us, they do not suffer. That's why. So you don't need to worry about trying to stop it by going to vote for somebody because that's not going to matter. But the new Gulch, which is hiding in plain sight, earning value and exchanging value in a means by which you are unstoppable and ungovernable. The same people that say be ungovernable then turn around and reject this technology. This is insane. This is insane. If you have money in a bank account, your government can take it from you. They can lock it up and prevent you from getting to it. We have never had a form of property, and that's what Bitcoin is a form of property before, that is as defensible by any individual as it is by any corporation or any large government entity or any very rich person. There's a saying about guns. God made men and Sam Colt made them equal. Meaning when Colt made the Peacekeeper and the average guy could afford a 6-shooter, he became an equal man. He might be little, he might be small, might be a little bit crippled, might be blind in one eye like me. That's why my eye drifts for some of you that have to ask about it, right? But now he was equal. Good marketing. Untrue. Untrue. If you guys have the same gun, the one that knows how to use it better will be superior. They're not equal. One may not be able to pull the trigger when he needs to. And that one man who thinks he's not an equal because he has a firearm, how's he going to do against an army? Even a small, ill-equipped army. Ask Butch and Sundance if you know that story. Again, it's good marketing. It certainly is an equalizer. That guy is certainly better equipped to be defensible than he is without it. But it's still that fast to be outgunned. Stealing information is hard, especially when everybody's information is decentralized and different. We've never had that before. We've never had the ability before for a brain drain, for a person to say, all my stuff is just stuff. My wealth is 12 words in my head. I think I'll leave. And walk away with the clothes on their back and take their wealth with them. That's never existed in history before. And then the ability to take that wealth and break it down into a piece that is so tiny it cannot even be measured with the declining value of the United States penny. It's so small. And program it to move at the speed of light anywhere in the world based on a set series of parameters that is determined by only the individuals who choose to voluntarily interact with each other. And so you can sit right in your blue hair HOA and be an anarchist, a techno anarchist. And the people that do it first are going to be the smart people. The people that do it first are going to be the risk takers. The people that do it first are going to be those who are ambitious. The people who build the technology, the people that sell the shovels and the picks and the dynamite and the blasting caps to the miners will build the towns. And the towns will be virtual. And the virtual nation that I've been telling you about since 2014, the virtual nations, are being built right now. And if you're doing anything with this technology at all, if you're running your own node, if you're using layer 3 apps, if you're using something as simple as the fold card, you don't even understand that there's lightning on the backside of it that enables it, and you're earning Bitcoin because you chose to shop with an Amazon gift card you bought with your fold card instead of an Amazon gift card you bought from Kroger's, you're part of it. You're building it. You're building a form of wealth that you can defend infinitely, and that you can move at will anywhere you want at the speed of light, including forward in time to further generations. That's Galt's Gulch. It's finally here. And I welcome you on our journey as we continue to build it together. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow with an episode of Outback with Jack. Remember, you can get the entire episode of this today's podcast at the Survival Podcast. Link in the video notes will be available about 1 hour from now.